Here's a revelation I received that was later changed. I was in the family history building looking for a man named Virgil, an ancestor of my wife's line. I knew the date he arrived in the United States, his brother's name, and the place he settled, not much else. I started by finding the microfilm roll that had the census of that time. Virgil's name wasn't on that roll, so I wound it back onto its reel and headed for the file cabinet where the roll resided. While walking to the cabinet, a voice in my head said, "Sam, you know his brother's name. Look for his brother." So I turned around, went back to the microfilm viewer, opened the roll again and looked. I found Virgil's brother's name, and the information associated with that name gave me the number of the film that contained the passenger list of the ship that brought them over. After opening up the passenger list, I discovered that the name I found was not that of his brother, but of his son. He named his son after his brother. Virgil had come over a few months before the rest of his family came so he could find a job and a place to live. This put him in the U.S. before the census. So I found the ancestor through his son, but had the Spirit told me, his son has the same name on his brother, look for his son. Had he said that, I probably would have been confused because it would have introduced a third person into the equation. But the first answer was clear, unmuddled, and easily understood. The Spirit spoke according to my understanding. Although it gave me information that was not accurate, it still led me to the person I was searching for. These days, when I tell people the story, I simply say, I found Virgil through his son. The wording and process is greatly changed from the story I gave you, but it put out a more accurate end results. After you watch the next issue, you'll know why I told this story. We are going to be listening to Sandra Tanner, foremost expert, according to this man, Sean McCraney.
This is a sample of one of Joseph Smith's revelations and the changes that were made later. Now, if God were the author of the Doctrine and Covenants, one would expect that they would have been written right in the first place.
First of all, man is weak and never free of transcribing textual errors. Many changes involve matters of grammar, spelling, and formatting. Sometimes either Joseph or his transcribers did not accurately understand the underlying message of some phrases, so they had to be reworked according to inspiration. The Lord loves clarity. For this reason, he speaks to us in the language or manner with which we are acquainted. He told us that, "Behold, I am God, and have spoken it. These commandments are of me, and were given unto my servants in their weakness, after the manner of their language." And here's an important point, that they might come to understanding. Doctrine and Covenants 124. Had the Lord spoken the complete details to Joseph Smith ahead of time, before he understood them, Joseph would have been preaching blindly without the foundational knowledge of each vision. If questions were asked by the members, he would have only been able to say, "I don't know, it was just what the Lord said." Questioning people don't like that kind of answer. Bottom line, we weren't there. We don't know the nuances of the presentation, transcribing, and printing of those revelations. Therefore, it is dangerous, even for a foremost expert, and counterproductive to draw a conclusion concerning the changes.